Alright, so I showed you how to make directories. Obviously I need to show you how to delete them, because otherwise, so let's just verify with our tree command. If you are at the lowest level of this, the leaf of this tree, there is nothing the tree command can generate, because we are already right at the bottom of the tree. So I'm going to go up a couple of levels and then issue the tree command. Since I am now at the net scratch onion level, I have several directories. So obviously my tree output looks different than yours. Yours probably only has this part that's right here. So let's go into my projects. So we have 3 directories here. The way you remove a directory is RMDIR, obviously again fairly logical. As long as the directory is empty, that directory will be deleted. So this is what I was talking about in terms of not being able to roll back commands. When I say RMDIR RT_PCR, that directory is gone. You're not going to be able to bring it back unless you just recreate it. And I'm going to recreate it to illustrate something here. You don't have to do that. Or if you did delete the directory, go ahead and create it again. So let's go into that directory that we just created. Currently that directory is empty, as you can verify by doing a listing. I'm going to, let's show you a simple editor that you're going to find useful. Most of Unix systems will have an editor called Nano. This is a lightweight text editor. The way you are going to start Nano is either you can just say Nano. So Nano is a program itself, and we can use the command called which. So which command tells you which program are you trying to run by issuing that command. So if I say which Nano, it is going to tell me the location of Nano on this system. So the program called Nano is present in a directory called /usr/bin. So that's where the Nano program is. And since this directory is in our path, I think I'm introducing, I guess, a lot of new concepts here. But what we are doing is we can look at a variable called path. So another command, echo, is a command that is going to show you the contents of several things on the system. We are going to say echo $path. So anytime you use a $sign, the $sign has a special meaning to the system, meaning these are some system reserved variables. So path is a variable name that is reserved in Unix that has a very special meaning. What we are doing is we are using the command called echo to display the contents of that variable. All of you are familiar with file paths, right? I mean, we already sort of talked about the file paths. So these are all different file paths. By default, a certain set of file paths is in your path variable. So if we do echo $path, can everyone do that? So if I'm trying to run a command like Nano, what the system is going to do is it's automatically going to check through the paths. So these are the file system paths. You've already learned about these. So the system automatically looks through all of these directories and says, is there a program called Nano in that directory? If it finds it, it's going to run it automatically. And that's why, as you can see, that /usr/bin directory is in our path variable. And that is the reason we do not have to specify the full program path name like this. You could specify it like this and run it, but we are able to get away with just using the program name because the actual file path where the file, this program is present, is in our path variable. This is a list of folders that the system is automatically going to search for program files when you try to run something. We are currently in RT-PCR directory. We are going to run an editor called Nano to create a file. You can actually give a file name. So I'm going to say test file. So I'm trying to run Nano and create a file called test file. So as soon as you press return, you can see that it puts you in this 70s looking graphical interface that is pure text based. I know at least John has probably used this in the past at some point. There was a very popular email program called Pine that a lot of our old timers like me have used, which had a editor in it that was sort of similar to Nano. This is a really simple text editor, so at this point I can start typing things in it. So this is a free text editor, and you can add more lines, whatever. The commands down here tell you how to work with whatever you typed in here. So for example, the way you issue commands for Nano is actually a set of two keystrokes. The caret character at the front of the set of two tells you that you have to issue these commands by holding down the control key along with the second character that is shown in the help down below. So if I wanted to exit, I'm going to have to press the key control along with the X key. So when I do that, when I press control and X together, since I've made some changes to this file, it's now asking me, do I want to save it? If you are not interested in the changes you made, you can just say no, and the system will exit without saving. But in this case, I actually want to save the changes. So I said yes, indicating with a Y. Now, since I had already provided a file name when I started Nano, it's asking me, do I want to write it to the same file, or do I want to change my mind and give a new file name? Here you can just specify a new file name by typing it right here. I'm happy with the file name that I had started with, so I'm just going to press return because I want to use the name called test_file, and the program Nano exits. So now if you do a long listing, all of you should have a file with a name that you just used that got created in this directory. Does everyone have a file? How do we look inside this file? So you can use a command called more, and again start getting into the habit of using tab to autocomplete. That way you will type less. So if I say more test file, then it just shows me the contents of whatever I just typed in. We'll come back and make use of some of these other commands that have more things in it than just a screen full, and I'll go over with some other options we have in terms of displaying data in a file just down the road. So let's go back up one. What we just did was we created a file in our RT-PCR directory. Now if I try to delete the RT-PCR directory, let's say I'm not aware that there is something in my directory and I try to remove it. The system is actually going to be helpful and is going to generally try to prevent you from doing bad things. So it's actually telling you that even though you're trying to delete this directory, there is something in it. Are you sure? And this would be a good time for me to go back in and look at, yes, there is something in there. If it's obviously something that you want to keep, you will not want to remove this directory, or at least you will want to move this file somewhere else. In my case, since we just made a dummy file, I'm sure that I don't want to keep this directory. So again, I can shorten the, let's see if this works. On some systems it works, some systems it doesn't. I'm going to use a short form of remove directory called RM. So by these two options, what I'm telling it is the -R indicates that you're trying to remove the directory structure from this point onward. So if RT-PCR had additional directories inside it, all of those would be removed by using the -R option, because the -R option automatically walks down this file path that we're looking at. And then the -F is telling it that remove any files that may be present in that directory as well. Now, these are just options that are new to you at the moment, but you'll slowly get used to it as you start using the system more and more. So when I issued the rm command this time, even though I had a file in my directory that was not empty, so there was a file in it, the file had some contents in it as well, but because I told the system to override and go ahead and delete the file as well as the directory structure anyway, it did that without giving us any warnings. This is one command that you want to be very careful about. As I said, Unix has no undo. Once you did an rmrf, it's going to remove entire contents of whatever there may be starting at that directory below. So it's there, but you will want to use it cautiously. Yes. So let's go ahead and let's make